Architectural Builder's Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Yeah, questions on architectural grades ribbon stripe Sapele? Yeah, I do have a moment.
Exactly. Great. I mean, it looks like it's going to be awesome wood, and I'm excited about it. There aren't a lot of guys that carry this stuff, as you're probably aware of. Question I had for you. I was asking if there was a factory finish available, and it looks like there is. And my question is, what is that finish? Would I be smarter if my finish carpenter has to size the doors? There's going to be some edges that are going to need to be finished if I get something pre-finished. Is that a finish that's readily available that I can get and have my painter apply afterwards? Well,
it's a UV process.
Okay.
So anything
curing. So
yeah.
It requires the light. Yeah.
So anything you're going to do in the field is not going to match.
Right.
However, because of the lumber that's there and the orientation of the grain compared to veneer, I think you're going to want to match for sheen other than, anything else. Now,
sheen and color, yeah.
Well, I mean, color we don't have control over because it's, we're dealing with nature. The lumber that's going to be there, is not going to look 100% equal to the Sapele veneer. My opinion on the matter is that you order the material, the net size you need, with only Plan B, or in this case, Plan G, that you would have to plane something down. At least get it sized. So my recommendation is that you let the factory size it and machine everything. That obviously puts the onus on whoever's going to have a tape measure in the field.
Sure.
That would be my preference because if something's wrong, the door is done. Right.
Exactly. And we want to make sure that we get it right. Obviously, the bifolds and the closet, bypass doors, that kind of stuff, that's easy.
The majority of everything is easy.
Yeah, it's just the swinging doors and trying to get them to conform to a house built 60 years ago.
Yeah.
And when things were different, they may not be exactly square, and I don't really know, and so that's why I'm asking, because I don't want to have a problem that I could have avoided had I asked more questions or ordered correctly.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I would probably opt to have the doors finished because you're going to have to put tooling on it anyway.
Right.
So you're you're already prepared to have to protect the doors when you're drilling the 2 1/8 or whatever it is. So if you had to plane something down, you'd prefer not to have to. But it's the point is you can't in the field replicate the caliber of what's done at the factory because they got $1 million machine laying there.
Right, and there's not going to be any orange peel or any of that kind of stuff, which is awesome.
Well, the other thing that's awesome is you get a factory warranty. I mean, one of the nooses that the factories have hanging on their their wall hooks of nooses that they can put around customers' necks, finish. If there's some incompatibility with finish, if they can find, not that they do. This company, Strucco, that's in Wisconsin, they've been doing this since your house was built, before that. So these guys know their business. But some factories, if the finish is not right, if something violated the warranty at that stage, they will hang their hat on that hook. So it's nice. You're not only buying finish, is what I'm trying to say. You're buying insurance in the sense that.
Sure. So what would you recommend that I do? Would you recommend that I just take field measurements of the door jambs that we're going to keep and send those to you?
I would recommend getting everything as close to the final size as humanly possible within reason, and then If you have to do anything in the field at that point, well, then, you know what? You've got to do it.
Right. And is there a finish that you would recommend that would be reasonably compatible with that factory finish?
It's just going to be something clear. I like,
just a clear urethane.
Yeah, I like polyurethane. I would obviously do some sampling first, but you're just doing 1 3/8 of wood. And obviously, if you're not going to mortise the stuff, you're obviously going to do as much trimming as needed, where you can, to the hinge side. So you're really not looking at that a lot, or maybe the lock side.
The hinges will be fully mortised in. Yeah. That's just how it is here, which isn't a big deal. What's under the hinge and exposed doesn't really scare me. I just want the edges to look like they belong. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. I was reading through some of the information on the hardware that you had recommended. And one of the things I noticed was that on the bifold doors, that they recommend an opening that's 1 inch more than what the doors are. So I had here 4 12-inch doors for a 48-inch opening. So should I order 11 3/4 doors, so that way I end up with that extra inch for the doors to be able to work?
I don't. And that's in the width or the height?
That's in the width.
That doesn't make any sense. You don't need to have it so oversized.
Well, that's what it says in the information on the on the hardware.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, because it says that you need 5/8 more for just 1 bifold, and you need 1 inch more for clearance for 2 bifolds coming together.
Yeah, I just well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, let's take a look.
Because that one by the jam has to have clearance to be able to turn, get that corner around.
Yeah, but I've plotted things like this in AutoCAD lots of times. You don't need that much room. So if you allotted 5/16 on either outside jam and then 1/8 of an inch between the panels at all 3 places where panels will kind of meet, yeah, that's 1 inch. I really think you need no more than 3/16 at max. It's only 1 3/8 door. But at the end of the day, we're really talking about a tiny fraction divided by 4 doors.
Right.
And obviously, if it was me, it would no more than 1/4 inch. And frankly, I wouldn't leave. I would be calculating 1/8 between panel 1 and 2, between panel 3 and 4, and then in the meeting style. So that would give me 1/2 plus 3/8, so 7/8. So yeah, if I were to make them, I would be calculating 7/8. And they're saying 1 inch. And actually, they might be saying that because that statement is going to likely accommodate either thickness. And while 1 3/4 is not that big of a deal off its center line when you're rotating that square edge around.
Right.
So I can see that blanket statement being 1 inch. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So being that it's probably impractical to make this opening 49 inches, we should probably change that order on those doors to 11 3/4, be my guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yes.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take field measurements of the height and the width. I'll do width at 3 points: the top of the door, the midsection, and the bottom. I'll do height on both edges of all the swinging doors, and I will email those to you so that we have some pretty good dimensions. And I'll throw my square on there too to make sure that we're square, and I think that we are. And then that way we can get that factory clear coat as correct as possible on everything, and minimize the amount of edge work that we're going to have to do.
All right.
That sound like a good plan? Also, I wanted to ask you about the hinges that you had suggested. It looks like those come in 3 colors: stainless, steel, and something else. I believe it was brass or something. It doesn't come in a nickel or a brush.
Definitely. What? Yeah, for sure. What?
Okay.
What's the code? What are the numbers near the end of the part number?
What you have on the line here just says full mortise hinges, TA 2714 by 3.5 by 3.5 by AWS by 646.
Okay.
McKinney.
Mm-hmm. The 646, that means 3 things. It means it's made of steel. It means it's satin nickel, and it means it has a lacquer applied. So
okay, great.
646 is the nerd way of calling it, satin nickel.
I just didn't know which number you wanted. There's a few numbers on here. I want to make sure I'm calling out the right ones. Okay, so that is a satin or brushed nickel.
Exactly.
Okay. And the door hardware looks great, by the way. I really like the way that those tracks and rollers are, with almost 1-inch rollers. Those will be really smooth.
Yeah, so you had asked for heavy duty, and I get that. You want to do it once and never do it again. And the upside is it does cost more, and it is bigger. And there is a track that's lower profile, but you can't get that lower profile with the weight rating in all of the applications that you need, because you have 3. Mm-hmm. And I basically did what I would do in my own home, even though it's more track than I want. I'm going to have a bigger fascia, but you know what? In 40 years, the next person who owns my house is going to say subconsciously, I'm glad that guy put in quality stuff, because it's still works. So.
Right. And we don't have to tear the wall out open to get to that pocket door because it came off the track. Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. I got called to a job site one time, and my great customers of mine back in the 90s and 2000s, he says, Rich, you sent me the pocket door frame, and it's broke. I'm like, Bert, what are you talking about? It's broke. He's like, I put it in. The door worked great yesterday. You got to come down here and help me. So I go down to the job site on the Gold Coast of Chicago, just north of the Hancock Building on the lake. And sure enough, I can't pull the door out of the pocket. He's like, yeah, I come here this morning and it's stuck. And I said, I'm looking around the bathroom, and I says, Bert, when did that wainscot go up? And he's like, after I left yesterday. I'm like, how did they put it on? They shot nails.
Yep. I can see where you were going with that.
Yeah. And the thing is, with the Gold Coast, if you're living in the Gold Coast on Lakeshore Drive, you're not living in a $300,000 condo. This was a 140-year-old brownstone. Something in that range. Well, 120 anyway. So anyway, you don't want to tear the pocket out, because that's just going to take time.
Right. And it's a big mess and big hassle and a bunch of trades involved.
Yep.
And definitely want to avoid that. Yep. Okay. So anyway, I love everything about your bid. I'm not crazy about the shipping charge, but I'm assuming that's just what it is.
It is what it is. Now, you're welcome to arrange your own shipping. We are happy to hand someone a bill of lading if you can find it cheaper, and I encourage that. The upside of paying that is if there's a single thing that is wrong with it as a result of how it was handled once it leaves the dock, that's not on you. Okay? The manufacturer, the shipper has to handle that. You elect your own shipping. We're still paying them to crate it properly, but if anything were to happen, then now it's your it's
not my problem.
You got to run that down. You got to have your dog go out and get the duck that you just shot and go out and find it and bring it back.
Yep.
So
which is not a hassle I need if there is a problem. And as you know, we all know a guy named Murphy.
I think he has a standing reservation here every day at 4:00. So yeah.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then, like I said, let me get those precise measurements to you. One of the things I noticed also when I was checking my doors for whether they were square and all that kind of stuff, I did notice that one of them is a 28-inch door, not a 30 on the swingers. So that makes a difference.
It does make a difference.
Probably doesn't make a difference price-wise, but it makes a difference when we try to size them.
Yeah, technically it does, because the way that the wood door industry works, everyone, if it's less than 6 of a specific size, they price it that way. Is it going to have an impact on this job? It won't. But if your 10 were to turn into 7 different sizes, not that it will, but on other jobs, I have to let clients know, if it's less than a 6, there's a surcharge. So just, one door won't have any impact.
Okay. All right. Then I will get busy measuring and pull my square out, and I will email you all of that stuff. You'll revise the quote, and we'll do a quick inventory when we talk next time, which will probably be tomorrow, and put an order together. And you said this is 8 or 10 weeks out?
I don't recall. But yes, It's going to be in that range for sure. Strecco is, they're a smaller shop, which means that they work, they get the entire job in and done unless it's more than about 60 doors. I just finished a 180 door job with them in Fort Lauderdale, and it was 3 phases because their shop is only so large. But this is a nice petite job in the sense that they put it on their schedule, and their schedule just works. There's so many doors that you can lay up a day. There's so many doors that you can run through the finisher and through your CNC work. And, it's pretty regular with them.
Great. The last thing I'll be looking for on these doors, on the closet bypasses, I'm looking for something a little nicer than just a round disc as far as the finger pull. So I don't know what else you have that may be rectangular and also possibly, brushed nickel. Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, sure. So in the world of cabinet hardware or, hardware that could go onto a bifold as well, there's going to be countless options. M-Tech is a company that they have a very popular line of pulls, of different types of hardware. What you end up slapping on there is just a design decision, and that's a rabbit hole that's really deep to go down.
Do you guys carry Baldwin?
My middle name is Baldwin, and it's all kidding aside, I cut my teeth on Baldwin in the early 90s, and once you know how to navigate the catalog, you become expert. Anything Baldwin we do, obviously, and I'm a big fan of theirs because of the fit and finish, but more so the technical support and customer support you get from the factory. They are exceptional. Their people there are exceptional.
We have a lot of Baldwin hardware around our house, and it's because I like to buy things once and be done with it, and it's held up extremely well. Another thing, since we're putting a door order together, we're looking at our front door and thinking, well, maybe we'd want to do something there too. I've tried going around your website trying to look for entry doors, and I'm having a real difficult time finding things. What I would like to get is a single vertical light entry door, 36 wide, 6'8" high.
Sure. So the only thing we don't do exterior doors like that in general. It's just we're in the commercial world. So the wood doors we do are PC5. They're AWI 1300 compliant, and they're really meant for interior applications. Now, lots of people will take that same Sapele door. They'll make it 2 1/4 or 1 3/4, and the factory will cut a rectangular prep. They will trim it in with whatever the compatible species of mahogany is, and then you'll put in your glass. They'll provide the stops. 2 things. I can ask that they use an exterior grade glue, and we can have it built with timber strand or LSL or structural lumber. At the end of the day, though, And you can even have it factory finished. At the end of the day, if it's in an exterior application, the factory will waive any warranty.
Sure.
And when it comes
out,
what?
What if I were to get it so that the interior side where the Sapele was the factory finish and the exterior is left unfinished, and we put just an exterior coat of paint on it, so it's not doesn't have to be Sapele or anything radical. It could be a paint grade.
Yeah,
on the exterior.
Yeah, it could be just rotary natural birch, or it can be MDO, which I wouldn't want. I would want MDO would be okay because that's a very smooth process. The question that I have for the factory on that is I actually don't know if they can do only one side. Mm-hmm. It's my understanding that machine does both sides at once.
Okay.
So
even if it does, that's okay. We'll just throw a coat of paint over it. We're at the beach in Southern California, and the door faces west, and so all afternoon it gets pounded by the sun and the reflection off the water. And so, anything that's wood is going to fade and have issues that way. And so we've had really good luck just with white paint or some other lighter paint on some of our other properties.
Yeah,
as far as being able to weatherize it.
Yeah, they can definitely do two different species on each side. And if you were to take a belt sander and remove that off, if your paint required it, you could. You'd have to talk to a guy who really.
I think I would just throw a good primer on there and just hit it with an oil base.
Yeah, I would defer to a painter who would know the chemistry between the primer and the finish that it's going on to. You want to make sure it's going to stick. Yeah, absolutely. My inline sander would half an hour I'd have all that off. Look real nice if you had to.
Yeah, which hopefully we don't have to. But I'd be interested in something like that as well. Since we're shipping doors, what the heck's one more?
Well, it won't really change the freight cost, so that's a good thing. Right. You would have to source some glass, and then of course you'd have to think about how you're going to hang it. If you were going to change the way the hinges that likely the existing is hung on, meaning pivots, which is all the rage and has been for years, which is really cool. To do
it is. It's funny. My Finnish carpenter, that's one of his specialties. He's one of the few guys here in this county that can do pivot doors. So
the notorious problem with that is weather stripping it, and a lot of installers aren't concerned about a warranty claim in 5 years when you've had this nuisance water coming in. So before you go that far, I would put at the top of the list of the conversation is, hey, how do you weather strip those things? I live a mile off the ocean, so I get, horizontal rain is not unusual here at a certain time of year. And
well, you're in Florida. That's how it comes down half the year.
Yeah. So if I were to do a center hung pivot, I'd be investigating that first. There's always some Achilles heel in those designs.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're gonna just stay with traditional three hinge edge type of thing, just because that's the way the whole rest of the house is done. And I mean, I'd love a pivot door. That'd be awesome. If it were an 8-foot door and 4.0 wide or something, then it makes sense. But I think on a 3.0, I don't know. You lose a lot of your entry. You lose a lot of your width if you go with a pivot.
Yeah, if your pivot point's at 2 3/4, half of the thickness of the door when it's at 90 degree, it's now you certainly have something that's no longer ADA compliant. So you're not that it matters, but it just to illustrate the point, you have a reduced clear opening width.
Yeah. And really, the added drama, so the added headache of that, in this application, I don't see it.
Yeah, it just, unless you're going to knock something out and make this door 4'6", like you see, when I've been in La Jolla, in that general area, I think that's where those doors were born, because there's so much that goes out to that part of California.
La Jolla's, it's 7 or 8 miles down the coast from us. So there's a lot of that stuff going on around here and all the high-end contemporary homes.
I rented a house. Awesome. So I rented a house maybe 10 years ago, and all the streets were after Roman gods. Jupiter and names like that. So it was.
Yeah.
Anyways, beautiful part.
Oh, it is. And they've been doing the pivot doors there for at least, I've been involved in the real estate, high-end real estate here since '88. And I've seen that stuff since at least 1990.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it seems like it's been around forever, but it is a very cool look. There are some houses here in, some of the neighborhoods that are emulating that design. Florida is a bit schizophrenic where I am. It doesn't have, there's nothing, what it has is someone with money who hires an architect who will give that person, that layman, who's not really necessarily always hired a designer, exactly what they say they want. So there's not architecture in Florida in the 19th century was pretty similar, but today it's very, very odd what you'll have next to each other.
Yeah, I think that goes for a lot of areas, particularly older areas that are getting more and more popular.
Right. When it's turning over.
Variety.
Yeah.
Yep. And it just changes dramatically. An area that, was never a high-end area when the population was low.
Right.
Now the population's higher, and everybody's going, "Hey, this is a great area." They come in and they spend the money, and it's like, boom, there you go. But you have a very modest house surrounded by very new, expensive homes.
Yeah,
it's great. So, okay, let me get my measurements, and like I said, I'll email this to you. What else do you need from me? Anything else?
Not at this time. I mean, we'll get the particulars, and we'll go through it line by line and make sure that there's an understanding, and we'll go from there. Yeah,
because what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through just room by room, just so you can act as my idiot check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To make sure I get all the doors and don't count anything twice or miss something. But we'll do that. Okay, let me get my tape and my square out, and I will have something to you shortly.
All right, sir. Talk to you then.
Great. Thanks, Rich.
Bye-bye.
Finalize an order, and we're trying to do it at 11 our time, but we're ready to do it now if you're available.
I'm available.
Great. Let me put you on speaker, and we'll walk through the rooms and get an order.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Just fine.
Okay. I've got my Finnish guy here, Kevin. Kevin, this is Richard.
Hi, Richard.
Hello.
So you've got the list. So I guess we'll just go top to bottom, and does that work for you?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll start in the office. Now, one thing you asked for is which direction the doors were swinging.
Yes.
Okay.
What is that for? Why do you need to know that?
I'm assuming that we are doing some mortising to the doors.
No, I'm doing that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you don't have to do that.
Oh, okay. If we're doing slabs, and I don't need to know any of that stuff.
Yeah, and do you put a bevel on each edge?
Well, that's the next question. I have to know if I'm doing it 3 degree or if I'm leaving it square.
We want to go 3 degree on.
That's up to you. That's not my department.
I mean, that's fine. Yeah, 3 degree is fine on both edges.
Got it.
We need that hinge to open up to set the reveal that, and then for the strike side as well.
Yeah, both sides will be beveled. That would be the preferred way to go.
Perfect.
All
okay,
right.
so do you want to do the dictating?
So we'll start in the office. We have one swinging door that's going to be 29 7/8 by 80. Still there, Richard?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. I'm just following along with the roadmap that you've provided.
Okay, all right. I just didn't hear any affirmation. That's all. Okay. So, and then we have a bathroom door that's going to be 29 and 7/8 by 79 and 3/4.
That's different than what is printed.
Yep.
Okay, I'll update that.
Yep. Closet bypass doors. You're comfortable with 30 by 78 1/4?
The width? Yeah.
I thought we came up with a different size for that because is this a new printout?
No, this is the same one we started with. We can go into that room and look at it. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're walking in there.
Get something we're in the office. Yeah, that's right.
So basically just duplicating the size of these. Well, we have the hardware sheets as well. And the amount of clearance, or I should say the dimension, the vertical dimension of the bypass hardware is what, Richard?
Whatever the cut sheet of the bypass kit says. If I was going to guess, I'd say it'd probably be 2.5, something in that range from the finished opening height.
Right.
I think it was 2 1/16 was the minimum.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, that heavy stuff is in that 2 3/8 range, plus or minus.
And on these, if they're a little bit long, we can always shave a little bit off the bottom. And
what was the dimension that you had from the bedroom bypass? All the bedroom bypasses that we're doing. What dimension?
Those were all 80s, I believe.
79.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is less. This door is measuring 78.5 for the office.
That's what I have. And 78 1/4. But we have different hardware that's going to take more space.
You're not keeping this, are you?
No, we're doing all new hardware.
Why didn't we change the size of this door then? Because this is
Let me get that cut sheet. Yeah, the hardware on the cut, according to the cut sheet, is 2 1/16 to 2 11/16.
Yeah.
okay. So the doors, so these office doors need to be. It looks like 78 1/8.
Okay. 78 1/8. And they're 30s. All right. So that's 4 doors.
So you're giving me 78 1/8, and you have done the calculation off of the finished opening size.
Correct.
Yeah, that's coming down to the floor from the top and up off the floor for the clearance for the guides.
Okay. Yeah. So if the kit says 2 1/16 to 2 1/11, I usually split that difference, and then that's your net height. So you've done the calculation. It's 78 1/8. So I expect your finished opening is 80 3/8. Let's say something in that range.
We'll confirm that right now.
Okay.
Look at you. Should I strap you in there? Yeah, it's like 80, almost 80 1/4.
Yeah, so right on. Exactly. That makes perfect sense. Absolutely.
Okay. Going to the hall closet, the entry closet. That's a swinging door, 29 7/8 by 80.
Okay.
Going to the hall laundry closet. That's where we will have the 2 bifold doors. We have a rough opening of 49. So it looks like we can do 12-inch by 80s.
Yeah. So are there 2 4068 bifolds that you need, or just one opening?
It's one opening.
And,
The opening will be 49.
Okay.
So we need two bifolds. Each one would be 12.
Well, you need one 4-panel bifold set.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's
right.
2 bifolds. 2 bifold doors. Yeah, exactly. There's 4 panels, and
Okay.
you understand. All right. Hall bath, swinging door. 27, 15, 16.
On that bifold, are you okay at 80-inch in terms of a net height of the door?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, and those doors are going to be square-edged.
Yeah,
Square
that's
edge,
fine.
correct.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. Okay. So you had door count 5 there. So I'm going to change that to door count 4. There's 4 doors in that hall laundry closet.
Correct.
Okay, I got it.
I just included the hall closet with the laundry closet to come up with 5. That's all.
I understand. Sorry. Thank you. I see it.
Okay. That's all right. We, communication is critical at this point.
Teamwork. Absolutely. Okay.
Okay. Hall bath, swinging door, 27 and 15/16, and full 80 inches.
Okay.
Bedroom 2. We've got swinging door, 29 7/8, full 80 high.
Okay.
And we have a closet opening that's 70.5 wide, so 2 36s is fine. That's what's here now. And Kevin's taken another rough measurement. See what the rough opening is.
I got, looks like it wants to be 79 and a half.
The actual door size? Or is that the rough
Actual
opening?
door size.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it. Option.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Master bedroom. We have a swinging entry door. That'll be 29 7/8, full 80 height.
Okay.
Then we've got another swinging closet door that will be a 2-4.
Pre-hung.
Okay.
You want that pre-hung, or do you want to match, or do you want to hang it yourself so you can match all the locations of the?
Yeah. Let's just get the door.
We'll get the slab. Okay.
Get the slab.
So a 2-4 80. 6/8, whatever. And then we've got our bypass doors. We have 3 sets. The rough openings are 58.5 to 59. And the heights of these, what are we first?
I've got like 79 and 5/8.
Okay.
Or a net door height.
79 and 5/8.
Yeah, for all 6 of them.
For all 6 of those.
5/8 net door height. Okay.
All right. And then we've also got the 2 French twinkle light doors. And those can be
Full size.
Full size, 36 by
80.
By 80.
Okay, so before we hop out of the master bedroom,
Yeah.
you've got 3 bypass openings. What's the net width to be of all of the doors?
Well, only one of the openings is existing. The other 2 have to be created.
Okay.
And I would say they're probably going to be right around 59 inches.
Okay.
We will make
so
59 inches. That's what we have to do. The one existing is 58 and a half, so we're not going to quibble over a half inch.
Okay, so 2 doors. 2 doors. 59 times 0.5. All right, so 2 doors that are 29.5-inch net width. Okay. And then you'll make them all the same width, and you're just going to create the same finished openings.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And so 30-inch doors will be fine because they'll have half an inch. They'll have an inch of overlap.
Okay. So 30-inch, we'll make them all 30-inch. Got it. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't even need to make things more complicated than they already are.
Yeah, right on. But then also in that room, you have a pocket door.
That's correct.
Now, here's the question here. Can we make this pocket door a little undersized? Like, instead of 32, can we make it 31 3/4 with the appropriate track head size?
Absolutely.
Pocket depth.
Yeah, you can make that any width you want.
Yeah, it's just a funky situation where we're creating a little passageway between 2 bedrooms. And we're restricted by the wall, so we're going to make one wall thinner than normal, 2x3 construction instead of 2x4. Drywall is going to die in right at the split jamb where the pocket's going to be at the far end, right? So we got to reduce the width of the door slightly so it isn't burying that jamb leg. There's going to be no casing on that side. It's going to be the jamb leg hard where the strike is when the door's closed. And when it's open, you're going to just see the edge of that leg. So we need to make that door a half inch under, and 31 and a half.
Okay.
Full height, tall, and with the frame to work with that, right?
Well, yeah, the pocket frame you're going to get actually. So that pocket frame is going to be meant for 2x4 construction. So.
Oh, that wall is 2x4. That's fine. It's the stem walls running in at right angles is what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, I understand.
And short wall, it's only 24 inches. It's a very short wall.
So, I mean, if you wanted to, the only thing is that the opening, when the door is closed, the opening that the door's in has to be a half inch under. Do you usually go oversized? Like if it's 32, you go 32 1/4 or something like that for the door? Right? How do you normally do that?
We base the door on being the full width. So we wouldn't normally adjust the door width for anything, and that adjustment's really handled on where you have the snubber and the track stop the roller when the door is pushed into the pocket.
Yeah, like the closed pocket, we can accommodate the pocket, but we're going to reframe the wall, right? Put a header up there. So, like, if a spacer had to be put on the door bump for that half inch, that's fine. We can take the little rubber bumper off and put a half inch spacer and put it back in, and that'll hold the door out where it needs to be. It's just on the opening end, between the casing, the split jamb on one side and the solid jamb on the other side needs to be a half inch under. So we might have to cut the track, cut the head. Is that what you're saying? You'll send us like a generic 32-inch pocket frame, and we'll modify it? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, that's how that's going to go. It will be out of the box capable of handling a larger door. Everything will have to be trimmed to work for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an aluminum track, right?
The track is aluminum, sure.
It's aluminum, yeah. So, I mean, that's easy to cut. Yeah. That'll all cut with the carbide cutter on the saw. So that's not a big deal. Cool. Yeah. So that pocket door is going to be 31 and a half by 80. will be the actual door size. And then a pocket frame for, like you're saying, a 32-inch by 80 door, right?
It'll certainly handle that door. It'll handle a larger door as well.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. And then we want to do a front door also. And the front door is a 3068.
Inch and 3/4.
Inch and 3/4. Oh, also those French doors for the master bath. We want those to be 1 3/4 also.
Okay.
And so the front door, it'll be Sapele on the inside. If it has to be Sapele on the outside, that's fine. Did we ever able to check on that? Because we're probably going to have to paint the exterior because it just won't hold up to the elements.
Yeah, so let's take a look.
Should be able to split finish.
Okay, so on the master bath, that's your, okay, I understand. Okay, that's clear. I remember that, where you're going to have a fixed door and then one will slide.
Right.
Okay, so let's highlight that, then let's highlight that and that since we have that. Okay, now on the front door, again, yes, we can definitely do, odd, non-matching species on each side. So, you're going to paint it. Obviously, I would probably tell them to do, just medium density overlay or, something very smooth like that.
Yeah.
Or just rotary natural birch, something like that.
Yeah.
Is it pre-finished?
If they'll do MDO, then it'll be primed white.
Okay, that's fine.
And I think, assuming they do that, it'll be primed white. I'm not sure if Strucco does MDO, and I wouldn't want to use prime tempered hardboard because I don't like if that gets bruised. It's hard to you can't repair it. It's compressed cardboard.
I don't want that. I want solid woods. It's facing west, which faces the ocean. Which we've got salt there, and it gets pounded by the sun every day in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It reflects off the water. It's just a harsh environment.
What about the interior side?
The interior side, if it's possible to have that, factory finished, the Sapele, that would be great.
Right.
If that's the case, then you want the door to be 35 and 13/16 for the width. That'll be a finished width.
Okay.
With your 3-degree bevels on both edges.
Right.
The Sapele side being the long point.
That's the inside. Yep.
That's the inside. Door swings in.
So, okay, 35 and 13 by 79 and 7/8, 1 3/4. The question will become, what do you want the styles? Do you want one style to be a hardwood paintable and the other style to be Sapele, or do you want them both to be Sapele?
The styles. Well, because it's going to be a single light, but it's going to be an offset vertical light in that door. And so we just need to have a style that's appropriate for the hardware that's on there.
So when I refer to styles, I mean the lumber, the vertical edge of the door. You'll want to, when you open, what hand is this door, just for conversation purposes? Oh, I see it. It's hinge on left. Okay. Viewed from outside, hinge on left. Okay, so when you're on the outside, the hinges are on the left and it swings in. Okay.
Correct.
So when you go in to enter from the exterior, when you open that door to 90, you're going to see that 1 3/4 edge of the door. What wood do you want to be there?
Sapele.
Okay, so just Sapele styles. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sapele style.
The other edge, so it's,
Yeah, the hinge edge, we don't care.
the hinge edge could be either. It should be paint grade.
Right.
So when you look at the face of the door and the jamb and you see that edge, it's painted as well.
Yes.
So if you're looking at the door from the outside, it's hinged on the left side. The left side will be paint grade, whatever material, and the right side will be Sapele, the strike side.
Got it.
Viewing it from the outside.
Got it. Okay, now, since we're talking dimensions, what is the width and height of the cutout that you want for the door?
That's a good question.
Or it doesn't matter right now. I just, that's something you'll probably want to set and think about.
Right.
So it'll be how wide, how tall, and then how far over from the lock edge, and then how far down from the top of the door. And that might be a piece of a sheet of cardboard and a utility blade, and someone holds it there while someone goes to the street and looks.
Right. I will get you those dimensions shortly. I will. I'll sketch it out and send that over to you.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I've got practically all the dimensions to manufacture. I have all the dimensions I need to get the factory to incorporate the addition to the job. And that's what I'll do. I'll get a final quote from them and see how that one door affects the total, and then I'll send that to you, and then it'll be a matter of, okay, let's proceed, and here's where I want that narrow light.
Fantastic. And so I'm going to want the hinges for all of the swinging doors, including the entry door, which will be a 4-inch. And Mr. Middle Name Baldwin, I've got some hardware I'd like you to quote me as well.
Okay.
The entry set is Baldwin 6974.15. It's called Lakeshore Entrance Trim.
Okay. Is all this in their what is it?
It's on their website. That's where I'm getting it, and that would be in and that one, if it's available in their lifetime satin nickel, that would be the right for that.
Yeah. I forget their 3-digit code for lifetime satin nickel. It doesn't matter. I will look it up. Lifetime satin nickel. Okay.
And then for the interior doors, I think we've got 7 swinging doors.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, sir. My first count comes up with 7.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm coming up with as well. And so we would need 3 hinges for each of those, 3.5 inches in brushed nickel or satin nickel or whatever you want to call it. And the lock sets I want to do with that are the model 5162.
Okay.
And then they've got something on that relates to the finish, which is 5162.056.
That's what it is. 056.
R017.
R017? Okay, that's the rose. Yes. Got it.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be satin nickel.
Lifetime satin nickel. Yes.
And I don't care if it's the lifetime finish or the other finish. It's on the interior. It's protected. There's not gonna be any corrosion or anything like that.
Okay. So, back to the entry door. What core do you want that? Do you want that to be particle board or structural lumber?
Structural lumber.
Got it.
That'll handle humidity much better over time.
Yeah, by far. Yes, it will. Now, on all of the hinges, we know that they're 3.5 inch. The width of all of them, would you need to have the width of the interior hinges 3.5 as well? Meaning you've got a casing condition to get out and around if you go past 90? Because best practice would tell us to use a 3-inch wide hinge.
Well, let's see. Kevin's got his tape measure out as we speak.
3.5.
Okay, so just make them 3.5. I understand.
Yep. Yep, that'll work just fine.
Okay.
And
what
on those interior door ones, we need a couple of them need to be what do you call them? Passage, and the other ones need to be privacy.
Okay.
I've got 2 bathrooms, and so let's make 4 of them privacy, and the other 3 would be passage.
Okay. Just going to throw this out there. A hallmark of some high-end residential construction would see passage sets everywhere, and then mortise bolts that would give you the privacy. It is very unusual to do it that way, but homes here, up in, Winnetka, on the North Shore, that's how it's done. Just wanted to throw that out. You'll see homes that are 100 years old, and that's how it was. There's just passage sets with a tiny little turn knob on the inside and an emergency, for the outside.
Anyway. I prefer to have less hardware.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, to do less
things, and so I think just having a privacy thing, I think that would be adequate.
Are door stops required anywhere?
I need 1, 2, 3. I need 4 door stops, and I would want solid ones. I don't want any springs or any of that kind of stuff. But just the solid.
Solid baseboard mount, just traditional, and they're probably 3-inch projections, something in that range.
Yep. Yeah.
Got it. 3-inch, and in the satin nickel. Okay.
Yeah, he just confirmed 3 inches fine.
Okay. That does complete the list. I can't think of any other hardware that you're going to end up having to source unless you have an unusual circumstance somewhere.
Yeah, we don't. And these cut sheets from all the other hardware, the sliding, hardware and stuff, that all looks like really good stuff.
Yeah. The only other thing I would say is think about how you'll weather strip the exterior door while you have the time to make decisions. If you know that you're going to need or you're going to replace a threshold, think about that now so that if the net height needs to change.
The threshold, there is no threshold. We have a hidden seal that drops down from the bottom of the door.
Yeah.
Do you have those?
Automatic door bottoms, absolutely.
Yeah. So we would want one of those for the front door. Thanks for reminding me about that.
Yeah. Mortise. Okay.
And the other weather sealing is in really good shape, and if it isn't, it's just a slot we can pull out the old rubber and put in new stuff.
Got it. Okay. Well, I know what to do. I'll get pricing reworked and sent back to you, and we'll go from there.
Fantastic. Richard, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I don't think so. We've got the thing clear about the bevels. I'm doing the boring and the hinging, so you don't have to worry about that. I think that's about it.
We're good.
So that's the door order. That's to get started on the door, and you're going to do the track. Is he supplying the track and all that stuff?
Supplying all the stuff, all the hardware.
Okay. You're going to make that order at a separate time, or?
No, we're making it right now.
Oh, we're making it right now?
Yeah.
So we're finished with the doors. That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we covered it all.
Okay, I'll get.
Do you know what the minimum is? Like the style on this entry door right now, he has a full mortise lock in it, and I think it's 4. But I think you're probably to. But then the hardware is not scotch and plate. It's not centering in the style. It's like really close to the recessed panel edge. You know, it would probably be better to make a 5-inch style there. And
so the glass, yeah,
center the scotch and plates. Right.
Well, you're going to have the depth of the mortise cavity, you know, and that's probably going to be plunged. I forget the hard dimension. It might be every bit of 4.5 inch, something like that.
Yes. So if you go 5 to the glass opening,
probably going to need to be more than that. Well, that lakeshore trim is pretty narrow.
Yeah, you know, more is fine. I mean, I'm just thinking if you go 5, the door hardware handle centers between 2 3/8 and 2.5. You know, it'd probably be like 2.5. So that's put you dead in the middle of a 5-inch wide style. Follow me? And then you add glass stop to that, you know, and then whatever the width of the glass opening is going to be, you know, minus the stop. But ideally, if that's 5, that'll put the scutcheon plate on the interior dead center, more or less, right?
Yeah. You're gonna pick up some glazing stop for the glass, but then you're gonna lose the stop of the frame. You know, so it'll be, you know, it'll
right.
It's going to be kind of centered on one side and somewhat centered on the other side. What's going to govern this is the manufacturer. Well, what the manufacturer will do, they're going to say, I need to be so many inches away from the edge of the door.
If he wants more, that's fine. It's just that we want it to be greater than what this existing door has. It's just got its panel openings, or it's forming a 4-inch style on on the inside of the door. You know, so it's got the hardware's off-centered. You know, it's snugging up close to that panel opening, you know, and it has a bigger reveal to the edge of the door. You know, so at 5 or greater, that's fine. At least 5, but if he wants 5.5, that's fine.
Yeah, it'll be something in that range. You know, that'll be the.
Sure.
That's one of the questions that I will confirm with the factory. What's the minimum style dimension that we can do? And I'll have to look at the template for the mortise case. I've, you know, like you, I've done my share of, you know, cranking on the Porter Cable mortise pocket maker, and I don't recall where that stops.
Yeah, the organ grinder.
Yeah,
you can set that depth. I think the box is under 4. I think my depth is set at 4 right now. But it could be 4.25. I forget. I just did one, but yeah. Appearance-wise, it'd be nice if we widen the style from what we have here now. You know, what's in the existing door is too narrow. It's 4, right?
Yeah, that would not be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
6021. Well, anyway, I'll pull up that. that template and refresh my memory, and then we'll know. That's all there is to it.
That's got all the doors covered, so we're going to go to hardware now?
I think we have hardware covered.
You got all the tracks covered?
Unless you want to double check anything.
Yeah, on these, he's going to use the same, what are they, 4-wheel trucks on the single light Frenchies. They're 1 3/4 inches. It's going to be a single track on that. The other one's going to be fixed, right?
Yeah, on that one door that's fixed, that sliding door, that'll be just one single track.
That'll be a single track. So down on the bottom, what we want to do is do the spline cut in the bottom edge of the door for that concealed. It's like a T-guide.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's what we want to do there, and we're gonna do it in such a way that I'm not going to spline cut through the edge of the door. I'm going to come short, and then I'm going to chisel it square, the last bit of it, and then I'll trim that piece. That T guide is plastic. I can cut that if I need to. I can trim it. You know, I want to make it so you don't see the open groove at the end, and I'll do what I have to make it the proper dimension. You know, we can determine if we want to. We can increase the overlap. We're figuring on an inch. You know, I don't know what that piece dimension is. If it is an inch, I can probably reduce it to 3/4, have an 1/8 inch of solid at the end of those grooves, kind of a thing. At any rate, yeah, that's what we need for a bottom guide.
Absolutely. Yeah, stop that. Yeah, stop that mortise cut through the bottom of the door short. Don't let it penetrate all the way through. The door will actually hang into the opening a little bit, but it will look really nice.
Yeah, either open or closed.
Yep, that's the idea.
You won't see that. My spline cutter only goes a 1/2 inch deep, so it's not that much of a notch, but you still see it. You know, you still see that notch. So we'll do it so it's solid there.
Yeah.
And I'll make whatever adjustment on the guide itself that I have to, because it's like that neoprene plastic. It's really easy to cut or grind. I can grind it with a sanding disc, whatever I have to do.
Yeah. I mean, there is a zinc version that I have, and then obviously you can get really fancy and put a U-channel down to the floor and then use a wheel that you'd attach to the bottom of the door. You know, the only issue with the plastic guides is should the vacuum cleaner get pushed into it, you know, someday, it's hard to, you know, so you'll have more robust ways of doing it.
Yeah. Is there a metal option?
There's definitely the guide that we're talking about. There is a zinc option. Knapp and Vogt makes it. Hager makes it as well. I'm staring at it. You know, same concept, just not made of plastic because, you know, that in 20 years, you know, someone will too much eggnog, right. and now your door's broken.
I worry that the plastic, you know, will break or something will happen.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a more robust material, whether it's aluminum or brass or whatever that we can put in there for that T, that would just, you know. So, what was the other option that you had there, Richard?
So the other option is that you literally route into the floor and you sink flush a U-channel, an aluminum U-channannel. Then you run that.
I don't want to put a channel into the floor.
Okay.
Yeah, not interested in that. So I want the door to be suspended.
Yeah. So that's easy. Just whatever that slider is not going to come with that part. I'll have to detail it as a separate line item, which I will. Or maybe it does. I forget. But yeah, we'll add that on there.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get to work then.
Great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to getting this stuff.
You're gonna have envy, so don't let your neighbors in your house. Okay, thank you very much. I'll work it out.
Thank you, and I'll send some dimensions for that light in the front door. I'll have that over to you shortly.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Great, thanks.
Okay, questions on that door list? Sure.
Yeah. The first one was the 31.5 by 80. We just couldn't figure out your code. It says by 3 degrees 0. So I'm assuming that means no bevel.
That's exactly what that means. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We were trying to decipher it. Just wanted to confirm.
Yeah.
Everything looks good, with one exception, which is the 4 doors that are going to be the I guess bifolds. The bifold doors. You knocked them down to 11 3/4 from 12 inch. We can make the opening 49 inches.
Okay.
So that would just allow us to have 12-inch doors as opposed to 11 3/4, and still have an inch for clearance.
Yep.
So otherwise, we're good.
If you would kindly just reply to that email with that, because I am not at my desk, and I am I'm going to forget. I won't forget, but I'm going to forget to make note of it, and then I'll have it.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I just wanted. The reason I was calling was just to try to decipher the code on the bevels, and we figured it out. Okay, we're good.
I'll tell you this, that I've used that code for 30 years, and it comes from 3 degree 2. That's normal nomenclature. But factories, wood door factories, have no idea what I'm saying when I want 3 degree 0. 3 degree 1, and then you define what side. 3 degree 2, obviously. But what do you mean 3 degree 2? It's just no bevel. I mean, I've got to tell you what to do, and it's rather than writing no bevel and 3 degree 2 is okay or 3 degree 1 is okay. So let's just make 3 degree 0. So anyway, thank you for getting that.
No problem. It took 2 of us to decipher it, but we thought we had it, but I wanted to call and confirm.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, sir, send that along, and it won't affect the price. So when I get it back from them, it'll just be a matter of that. And then I've got I'm also waiting for Baldwin to respond with the pricing on that material as well, the Lakeshore, and then the whatever the lever design was. Oh, you know what? There is one other thing. That's going to be ultimately, what is the back set on all of those? Are they 2 3/8 or 2 3/4? So that, and it looks like you've got something existing. So I'll need to know that. I have a placeholder for back set, but that will be a question that will ultimately come up.
Okay, let me. And we're talking about the interior doors, not the front door, correct?
Definitely not the front door. That'll be 2.5 inch, so that the mortise lock centers itself reasonably well on the style. 2 3/4 would be probably better now that I think of it because of the stop encroachment. But yeah,
on the interior, I'm looking at my existing doors, and the back set is 2 3/8.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I would imagine you want to mimic that everywhere.
Yeah, which is fine.
But the two that the passage and the deadbolt for the back exterior, are those 2 3/8?
Yeah. No, they're not. They're 2.5.
They wouldn't be 2.5. They'd be either 2 3/8.
I've got a tape on it as we speak, and it's the one to my office is 2.5. Let me go check the back door. And the back door is also 2.5.
What is the dimension when you put the tape measure on the opposite side of the door? On the push side rather than pull side?
On the outside? Let's see. That is 3/8.
2 3/8, yeah. So back set is measured from the center line of the thickness of the door back to where the hole would be. So naturally, on the pull side, you'll have a larger dimension because the door is beveled wider.
Because of the bevel, sure.
Yeah. So So 2 3/8 would be the right number for that stuff.
Okay.
So good. So that makes it uniform. 2 3/8.
Yep.
Awesome. Send that email, and I will get as soon as I get the numbers back. I'm working on it.
You got it. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
As an update, where this project is at this moment, all the doors have been ordered and several rounds of question and clarification to and from the factory have occurred, but the doors should finally be technically released to manufacturing. There was discussion during the order where the manufacturer came to me and said, hey, listen, we have a whole bunch of plain sliced sapele. Would you want that instead of ribbon striped sapele? And the only way that I've really ever done sapele has been ribbon striped. And I never really considered plain sliced at all because I'd only really ever seen it ribbon striped. So I realized at that moment the right thing to do to service the client best would be to let the client make a decision. And I emailed our client 2 pictures. This is what ribbon striped sapele would look like. And I'll explain what ribbon striped is. This is what plain sliced is. And this is, this is clearly a photograph taken for a particular effect. This is someone with a cell phone in the back of a shop, okay? But nonetheless, you can see how the grain pattern exists. There is a line here. There's another line over here. This is what's called a flitch. This is what's called a flitch. All of this. And these two flitches are put together in the sense that it is what we would call book matched. And that's a very important conversation to really have with the client. And I'm going to say that this ribbon striped is what's called slip matched. So let's talk about what that is. So first of all, I went to the client and said, hey, we have an option here. Now I know that plain sliced will be less expensive than quartered. Pardon me, ribbon striped. It's not substantially less, but it's already Sapele, so that's going to be expensive. A species of mahogany. Plain slicing will be slightly less than ribbon striped. It's not going to change the project very much. On $20,000 of doors, it may have a 2.5% or 5% impact on the cost. So what I'm driving at here is you can kind of make a decision, and this clearly is finished, okay? That clearly has processing done to it. That's not what it looks like raw. This is a decision that has to be made in the sense that I'm going to see if I can find a picture without that kind of processing on it. Yeah, we'll find something. Yeah, this lumber will certainly be more appropriate. It's not going to be such a red type color. It's a product of nature, obviously, so it's going to ribbon Sapele mahogany veneer. Okay. It is indeed going to be not so red. It will be closer to what the factory is indeed showing us here. Okay, that's what it looks like raw and unfinished before it's been processed at all. In fact, this might still just be veneer that's not even put down to cross-banding and backer, or just cross-banding. So with the client's project, what I'm driving at is this is mid-20th century is what the project is. And I realized at that moment that I had always but ever done ribbon stripe Sapele, and it's beautiful in my opinion. Okay. But mid-20th century probably didn't have ribbon stripe Sapele. So I contacted the client and say, listen, as you may have heard, the point is that mahogany in your door built that mahogany on your doors in your house from 1952 is probably plain sliced. So if we're looking to match, we should consider it. And the client said, absolutely, that's what I want. I absolutely want to match it. So we switched from ribbon to plain sliced. Now the question becomes okay, what is the difference between these? I don't understand. Well, let's talk about that. Somewhere in my website, I'm going to go to contact us, and meaning by the time you're seeing this, it'll probably be different. I think under industry links, maybe? No. National organizations. We're going to look for AWI, Architectural Woodwork Institute. And then we want section 1300. And here's that document. If you type in AWI section 1300, you'll find it just in a Google search. Or at least I did. And it comes right back to my site. If you deal with wood doors at all, whether you're an architect, a designer, a specifier, a distributor, an end user, these are the definitions that we use. This is the rule book. This is the governing document. Okay? So when I use the words A grade or B or double A, it has an actual definition that we can compare against here. Here's the point. Plane slicing. The way to think of plane slicing is like chopping an apple. This is how the knife, and I've seen how logs are processed. It is, keep your hands in your pockets. It's a scary situation to be around such large industrial machinery. Think of yourself as chopping an apple. Bam, bam. We've all, well, pardon me. That's completely wrong. Think of yourself chopping an onion. An apple is something different. I'll explain that. Chopping an onion. So you take these very thin pieces of what will become veneer, and that's how you get plane sliced. So they take the log, they prep it like this, and then they chop it like an onion. Bam, bam, bam. And it will give you, if you look at the growth rings, this cathedral effect that they call it. That's plane slicing. Now, ribbon striped is really quartered, and it gives you a very different effect because you're cutting, your knife is hitting the log at a 90-degree orientation from plane slicing. We've literally taken the log and we've rotated it 90 degree. Think of the growth rings here. You're kind of going along them, and on a much wider tree you will be, a much thicker tree. In quartering, you're going against them, and it will give you a different effect, a very narrow striped pattern. In certain species of wood, like oak, you will see the medullary rays, which are like the veins of the tree, that may or may not be desirable. But we do see quartered all the time. So rather than quartered, which we're calling ribbon striped, the client opted for plane sliced, which would certainly be mid-20th century construction, in my opinion. Now, the apple I had said earlier, that's rotary cut. That's typical birch. Imagine yourself peeling the skin of an apple with a paring knife in your hand. That's what that looks like. The fourth way to cut is rift cut, and you can study this document. This is really a combination of quartered and plane slicing in the sense that you get... Actually, our ribbon stripe sapele might be rift cut because, and I'm not familiar enough with the species of sapele itself, if it has any medullary rays, but it might be more appropriate to say that it's rift cut because you're really going with them as much as possible. Comb grain is what they call it, and if you use your imagination, you can see why we might call this comb grain. I don't see any evidence of medullary rays. It might be these black little spots here. The answer is I just don't know. And at some point in the future when I have access to the proper individual, I will ask the question. But whether it be rift or quartered, we're comparing that against plane sliced. That's where this job is. We will follow this up once we get delivery to the job site and talk to the customer. Thank you.
Hey, we're working on the framing right now for one of the openings for doors that we ordered from you. And I know that we ordered from you a bifold hardware kit, 9891-48. And had a couple questions for you before we finalize our framing. Number one is I wanted to make sure that the hardware is for two-panel bifolds to come together in the middle, and they open to each side. Is that correct?
4 individual panels. That is what that is for. That's for sure. Yeah,
but I'm reading the hardware information, and it appears that there's only one pivot, like all 4 doors sort of accordion into one side, as opposed to...
There should be 1 4-foot track, 2 hangers, 2 pivots.
Okay, just in the description, it just says one hanger, one pivot. So I just wanted to make sure we have two hangers and two pivots.
Yeah, there's got to be two hangers.
One track. Yeah.
One track, 2 cents.
9891-48. Yeah, sure. So the unit that you would use if you had two 2-foot panels, it'd be a different part number. It'd be a 9890. So we're good. And I do see that discrepancy online, and I'm going to fix that actually immediately.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm ordering the right stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It saves me headaches and you headaches. Secondly, I've got my finish carpenter here. He's getting ready to frame this out. We have some questions about the clearances on these doors because we want to get them to match up all the swinging doors that are in the house. And luckily, we've got hardwood floors, so if we have to mortise in a pivot or something like that, we can to get the gap a little lower so that all the tops line up. Anyway, he had a couple questions for you, so let me put them on, and we'll get those answered and keep the work going. Hang on. His name's Kevin. Here he is. You talked to him before.
Kevin? Richard.
Hi.
Yeah, the main question I have is the bracket that attaches to the top of the doors.
Yeah.
How tall is that? You know, it kind of...
I don't know the height of that door bracket. I'd have to ask Hager for that. An educated guess would be 3/8, something in that range.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because the adjustment travel that they're talking about from the surface that the track attaches to the top of the door, they got it between 2.5 and 2 7/8. And what we want to do, we're going to put a valance on the front, and since this is a bifold, those rectangular brackets are going to need to clear the valance.
Yes, your fascia. Yes, sir.
Exactly. So my idea is to mortise those plates into the top of the door. Follow me? So that we lose them, and I can bring that valance closer to the top edge of the door. You know, it's got a little trip switch, and I can put them pointed to the back side and notch the door in the back to accommodate it if need be. You know, for locking it in. It's like a little lock thing that snaps, right?
Yeah.
You put the
You're going to have to notch the entire face so that you can swing that locking tab in and out of place. No one's ever done that before, but I don't see why it's a problem.
Right. Yeah. The only critical thing is the thickness of the thing, and I'm thinking I've put them on before or similar, and it's somewhere between 1/2 and 3/8, you know, something like that, and you know, and I can make up the difference at the bottom. We're going to give it a 1/2 inch of clearance, and I can raise it 1/8 to compensate, you know, and still be good.
Sure.
That's about the only question that I had is if you had any further knowledge on the thickness of that thing, but that was about it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because you'll when people walk into that house, they're not going to realize what you did there, but you guys are going to know, and it's going to be pretty slick. And frankly, I'm asking you permission to steal that and give it to other people. I've never thought of it. When you open the doors now to 90, you're gonna see. You're not gonna see.
No, because they go against each other. It's going to be hidden all the time, and you can't get into this closet to look at it when the doors are closed. There's going to be machines in here and a set of shelves, so you're only ever going to see it from the outside. So as the door swings, they close against each other, and that should be fine. The bracket on the bottom is it an L bracket that attaches to the jamb or whatever's there? Is that the way that works?
No, it's not an L bracket. It'll fit completely to the floor.
I gotcha. Well, that's fine. Then I can mess with that. Then I can mess with that and make it work. We've got a hardwood floor happening there anyway, so it's with a wood subfloor. So whatever has to happen there can happen. We're not putting that bottom track in. Right. We're just pivoting on the pivot on on the pivot door. It's just this essential pivot point, right? Just drills into the floor, something like that.
Yeah, that's all it is. Just like a center hung pivot.
Post is driven into a hole in the bottom of the door, and it threads. You can adjust the height on it. It just threads out, kind of a thing.
That's right.
Right? Yeah, that's about it. That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
And I have emailed the installation instructions. Should you want to take a peek, you'll see the ancillary hardware that comes with it.
Oh, good. Excellent. Here, I'm going to hand you back off to.
I just had a quick question for you.
Sure.
We ordered a pocket door and a pocket door frame, I guess, and hardware. Do you have any idea when that's going to arrive? We want to get that wall framed, and we don't have that pocket.
Yeah, I do have an idea. I have to get to my computer. Hager emailed me coincidentally early this morning and asked about a partial delivery, and I said, yes, of course, ship what you can. I just don't have that breakdown, so I'm going to contact them and find out, and I will communicate back to you.
That'd be great.
Yep. Awesome.
Anyway, that's all I have for you now. I haven't even opened the boxes of hardware yet, so I haven't inventoried those or any of that. So I'm hoping it's right. But when I do, I know each one's got a packing slip. And if anything's amiss, I'll let you know.
Yeah, you want to take a look at that. Those manufacturers, they don't like stuff sitting around. What do you mean 8 weeks later there's a step screw missing? So yeah, as you can.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll find out where the pocket door material is, and I'll communicate back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Following up on some things that still have not arrived, and I know that they were back ordered and they were supposed to come this month. So I just wanted to get an update.
Okay.
On the, I can give you an order number if that's helpful.
Yes, it'll save me from looking it up.
177085.
Okay. So I'm going to reach out to the tracking department and ask that they review this.
Okay.
And follow up. There is 321. Okay, 321. Okay, so I'm going to reach out to Heather in tracking and ask, or maybe BB, whoever is going to be able to do this quicker, and just take the pulse of what's not shipped and when that material is shipping, and have them communicate back to you.
Yeah, because as far as I can tell, it's the bypass hardware. And you guys show us receiving something that we don't have, which is just a minor little thing. It's the Nape and Voigt BK1915 bottom door guide.
Yeah, I do see that there was a tracking number for that back before Thanksgiving of last year.
Yes, and we cannot locate that at all. So whatever was in that package, we still need. And if I just need to repurchase it, that's fine. I don't care, but I just need the parts.
3.2. All right, so 3.2. Yeah, that would have had 3.2. How do you 30 through 33? Okay, 30 through 33. 30. Okay. 30 through 33. So yeah, that bottom door guide was in with the door bottom. And
Because
so
I have the door bottom here, but I didn't think there was anything else in this package other than that. I mean, let me pull it out and see if there's anything else stuck in there. Because the door bottom we definitely have. I mean, that's a big package. And there's something else in the bottom, so maybe that's it. Yep. It is. Great. So we've got it. And
okay.
more bumpers. All right. So that solves that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do see line 16, which is a bypass kit on here. But also she's noted line 18 as well, which is the bifold kit. So I'm going to have her.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So I'm going to.
So we need all the bypass, all the bypass kits. There'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Four of them are 60-inch, and the fifth one is a 72. And then, of course, we need the bifold kit as well.
Yeah. Right. Bypass 1. Okay, so 15, 16, and 18. Okay. Where's line 15? Yeah, so they show line 15 as shipped, which line 15 is a 72-inch bypass. That, according to Hager, shipped with other goods.
Well, we did receive the pocket door hardware, and we received the hardware for the single French door. One side's fixed, the other one moves, and so we have that track and the trucks as well.
Yeah, that's the line 19. That's that sliding kit where you're going to have one fixed door, if I recall correctly.
Yes, one fixed, exactly. And like I said, and the pocket door, frame and hardware we have as well.
Yeah, so 15, 19, so 15, 17, and 19. Yeah, Hager has that Hager said their paperwork shows that your 72-inch bypass was also in that shipment. So I'll have Biborka audit that line because that's what she does, and then I will have Heather get you the status of the 4 60-inch bypass and the 48-inch bifold.
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, the 60-inch bypass. There's 4 of those, and there should be, like I said, a 72-inch bypass also, which we don't have. The only thing 72-inch that we have is for that. It's sort of like a bypass, but it's for where there's the one fixed side and the other one is moves. Yeah.
So yeah, we got to find out where 15
that's
is.
A 72-inch opening. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to send her. She's in Europe, so she'll see this very early in the morning. Where for us, it's quitting time almost. So that's good, and I will send you an email on that as well, and I will put it on my radar to follow up to make sure that she's making headway with the manufacturer.
Great, because we're getting to the point where we need those.
I understand. Confirm. All right, sir. I'll send that email in a couple of moments. How do the doors look?
They look good. They're a little darker than I had hoped, but
for now,
it looks like they've been. Will they lighten up a little bit?
Sapele tends to get darker. I find that walnut tends to get a little lighter. Just my experience. But it could be the decades of a door. Generally they go darker though. Sapele or Brazilian cherry. The fact that there's a finish on it, it really shouldn't move much at all. Well, a UV finish, it shouldn't move at all. I would like to see some photographs if that can come to pass at some point, just to take a look at them.
Okay. You know what? I'm looking here in our supply closet, and I do have the track for the second bedrooms. That's the 72-inch
bypass.
So if you're showing that we received, so if you're showing that we received it, yes, we do have it.
Okay, awesome. So all we need to do is get the status of my lines 16 and 18, which again are the 4 60-inch bypass and the 48-inch bifold.
Correct.
Okay, I understand. I'll send an email over to Heather right now and have her get back in touch with you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And to you, sir. Bye-bye.
All right. Be back, I guess, last November or so. And they arrived undamaged and everything's fine. Well, we started unpacking them today, and there are some fabrication issues. I've sent you an email with photos. There are 3 doors in question. All of them were ones that had cutouts for glazing that were going to be added by somebody else. And the front door is completely backwards. And the 2 3068 doors that have glass inserts, the cuts that they made while fabricating are horrible. There's chips all over the place.
So I've not seen your email yet, but as soon as I see it, I will review and we will get to work on determining what's going on.
All right. Yeah. So what I did is I sent you an email of the original sketch that I did that we ordered the front door off of, just so you'd have it handy. And then I've got photos of the, like I said, and it was fabrication stuff. They didn't even sand after they made those cuts and chipped the veneer. They didn't even try to sand it. They just finished right over it. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they were thinking it was a lipped molding and didn't put concern into it, but regardless of what molding
they included the glass stop, which is going to be flush with it. And so, and that's all
right.
That has the factory finish too. And so they knew what was going to go in there.
Yeah.
Because they made it.
Yeah. And on the entry door, that veneer was called out correctly, and I even had conversation with the factory about the handing of that door. Paint on the exterior and mahogany on the inside. So, or sapele on the inside.
Yep.
So yeah, I can't explain how they got that wrong, but it's extremely atypical for anything substandard to come out of that place. Extremely atypical.
I'm surprised because otherwise, we're unbagging the other doors, and they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. I love them.
Yeah.
And I was just amazed on these 3 because I'm trying to get glass ordered now. It's like, what the hell happened here?
Yeah. So I did get an email, and it's got your sketch. So I do see that. Is the light not in the right location?
The light is on the wrong side. It's on the hinge side.
Oh.
Because the hinge is, as you're standing at looking at the door from the outside, the hinge is on the left side. And that's the side that the light is on. You can't have the light on the hinge side. Not to mention it looks retarded.
Right.
That's what we ordered.
Yeah. Look.
Did you get the photos?
I have not seen that email yet on with photographs.
Okay.
Machining sheets.
It's gone out on this end. The other thing I would like to inquire about, and this is on me, on the Baldwin hardware that I ordered for the doors, they all came with T-strikes for the latches. We don't want to have to refabricate our jams. Do you have a good brushed nickel D-strike? That's a standard size that we could use.
Oh, yeah, Baldwin has full lip strikes. Sure, absolutely. Lock style, top rail, size 7. Lock style, top rail. Yeah, I mean, it's clear that the lock style is 5-inch on the machining sheets at the factory. So the top rail and the lock style are both 5-inch. So I don't know how they got, a 26-inch lock style. The edge of the door on the lock side to the beginning of the cutout is 5-inch. So, yeah, I definitely called it out correctly to them, and I gave them a painful sketch as to where everything is. I mean, you could not have misinterpreted. I mean, you could fault me for sloppy penmanship, but that's other than
you
that,
and I discussed it. I remember you and I discussed it at length just to make sure that we had it right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And your second email did come in, so I am going to send this all off to the factory. I will acknowledge to you a summary of what we're working on, and I will forward all that to the factory, and I will stay in communication with them and work towards resolution.
Okay. Great.
Yep.
And in the meantime, I'd like to order some D strikes.
And full lip strikes. Is it just the total count of quantity that was sent, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Total QTY. Okay. I will enter an order for those full lip strikes as well.
Great. And those are those will just be the standard size that Kwikset and everybody else uses, because that's. I mean, if they're a little bigger, that's okay, because we can mortise it, but we just don't want something smaller, because the T-strikes left a void that we didn't want to have to fix.
You're right, where the lip projects off the face of the rabbit. Right.
Exactly.
They'll be 2 1/4 tall. Yes, sir. They call them D strikes or full lip strikes.
Yep. They're the existing ones are 2 1/4, so we're good.
Awesome.
We'll drop right in. Something easy for a change.
Yeah. All right, sir. I'll be in touch.
All right. Thanks, Ricky.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi.
Just following up on our calls last week regarding the backwards front door and the damage that was on the 2 bypass French doors.
Yeah, I've sent all that to the factory, and I'm just waiting for their response.
Okay. I haven't gotten back to it. Yeah.
Well, the bottom line is they would not have been at work on Friday, so sure. I don't think they're really bumping into it until, that's. It turns out a lot of people were closed on Friday, even though, no one sent us the memo. We were all at work.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah. So it's on my follow up. I am definitely in contact, and it has my full attention.
Great. Yeah, because my Finnish guys are saying, "Hey, we need those doors." So I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, I'm on it. So
yeah.
All right. So let me know what we're looking at.
Yes, sir. I will be in touch.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Working on getting those doors replaced. She just gave me an update, and I was trying to return her call to let her know that I got her message, and thank you for staying on top of it.
As you were dialing the number, I was emailing her, just giving her the inside baseball as to how to get to the right people that she was unaware of. So she's going through customer service, who's very good, and they're doing their work. And I said, let's push in front of them. As you were dialing, I was
take it to the decision maker. Yeah.
Well, it's that's the bottom line. It's not a decision maker. It's somebody who can, this is not a matter of discussion. This is a matter of one door being made wrong and the other work being thoroughly substandard. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know how that. So you've got a background in woodworking at some level, for sure. We've discussed this. And yeah. I have a background in having machined wood doors using a hammer and a chisel all the way up to a multi-axis, 15 tool change your Italian manufactured CNC. There's no way a router bit would have done that. The only time you're going to get that is on a circular saw. And you use an overhead router for doing that work, whether you're doing it with a wooden template out of plywood and clamping it down, or you're having a slightly more, a substantially more elegant tool doing it. Yeah. So the fact that we see that, number one. Number two, that it was finished over, okay, is these guys, they've been, as I have said.
Wow, my finished guy's like, wow, usually when that happens, you put it under the drum sander and then you got a nice smooth edge and then you can finish it.
The only way that door shops do that work is with a very powerful overhead router. It's a very large machine, actually made in your state. There's a company in Petaluma that they do one thing. They manufacture doors for our machinery for our industry, and that's all they do. So if you make doors, you own something by Caval is their company name. And a Caval, which I've owned 2 or 3 of their machines. You can't get that sort of work out of them. That sort of end result. So I've asked her just, as of 3 minutes ago to email the owner directly because, it's been a week, six days since I sent them those images. And I expect an answer. And it's not because of these 24 doors. It's because of our decades of relationship. So I just want you to know that I'm shadowing it as well.
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The other reason I was calling was to actually talk to you.
Okay.
Somehow we misplaced some hardware. We misplaced the trucks, the mounting plates, and the door guide for that pocket door.
Okay, so I see the.
I think it was Hagar.
For 9850. So what I'll do is I'll pull up the catalog and figure out the part number for the hardware package alone, and I'll call Hager and ask him what the situation is in terms of availability.
Okay. Yeah, because we know that we had it because I remember test fitting one of the trucks on there just to see how nicely it glides, and it did. And somehow through one of our trash cleanups or something, the box that had all this stuff in it has gone missing. And I've been through this property twice. Now I was looking at every corner, and it's nowhere to be found. So I'm on the hook for that.
Right. I will. I'm going to do what I just said. I've got to call Hager. They they decided to build a state-of-the-art distribution center at about this time last year, and they're still feeling the effects. I feel like I'm still getting orders from 2020 from them. So actually, I've got the company in front of me.
Yeah, and if it's something that they have and it can get out, great. If it's a standard size and there's something else that's just as good or better that's readily available, if there's going to be a delay, that's fine too. We just need
So do you need only the hangers and the plate that mounts to the top of the door along with what we'd call the pendant bolt that connects the two together?
Yes.
That's all you need. Okay, so that's...
And I also need... Isn't there a guide or something that goes down at the bottom of the door at the opening?
Well, there is a couple of little plastic doodads that get nailed to the inside of the jamb. I've got that. Yeah, so 96. Oh, let's look here.
So we've got the frame, we've got the rail, and so we just need everything pertaining to everything the door is going to touch.
Yeah.
To get it to the rail.
The two hangers, the pendant bolts that are already attached, the top mounting plates, and the guide down at the bottom. Yeah, I will. Over the top mount plate, 9606. Yeah, okay, so you need the 9606 and then the guide package, which is the 9883. Okay, I will call Hager and I'll send you an email.
Great. And you've got my credit card information on file, so, just get it out.
I understand. I'll be in touch.
Great. Thanks,
Thank
Richard.
You.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. Bye.
This project's been going on for a few months, and that's normal, that's typical. And in this stage of where this project is at, I wanted to update what's happening. So the manufacturer, after about 2 weeks, finally agreed, if agreed's even the correct term to use, to just replace these doors outright. There's the front entryway, the front entry door of the client's house, and then there's two bypassing doors. Well, one is going to be a fixed door and the other will slide behind it. So in essence, they need to act as bypass. So this update is to just say I'm less than thrilled that we needed to arm twist. The manufacturer suggested lipped molding for the bypassing doors, which of course wouldn't work because why? Well, they're bypassing doors. It wouldn't work. So what they did wrong on this was they simply, and it's hard to tell, but they're off a couple of inches here and here. Okay, so what we have is one face is paint grade or MDO, medium density overlay, or prime tempered hardboard, whatever it is. So, plain sliced Sapele on the other side. One style is mahogany, the other style is probably finger jointed for paint. So the problem with the entry door is they literally just marked. When they installed the light, they margined the top rail, our 5-inch dimension, from the bottom of the door. Okay, that was a problem for the client, and that's all there is to that. Let's look at. Okay, so then these bypassing doors. The problem with the bypassing doors is this awful work that was done. It's patently awful. When you do this sort of work, you use a large overhead router. You use a router to do this. I've done it more times than I can count. You don't get this sort of result when using a router. Ever. I can't understand what tool they used, and I can't understand how it was even allowed to leave the factory. This is a manufacturer who's been making doors since the mid-20th century. And it boggles my mind that we had to discuss this. I mean, if this was the inside of a closet, which it actually is, I could, 1 out of 10 clients will say, you know what, it's fine. You're never going to see it. But I'm a door person, and I wouldn't accept it for my house. I wouldn't want that. Yeah, I mean, it really, look, I'll tell you, given how jagged this is, I'm gonna tell you, I bet this was done with a jigsaw, which would absolutely explain that. Not only the chipping, but that irregular cut. That could be the bottom side of the door if they were trying to, my goodness, go all the way through the door with it. Doing it by hand with a jigsaw is the only thing I can think of. And I say that because on the entry door that they did, where it's just simply the wrong side, there was no comment about there being any chipping, and it's hard to see here. I don't think that there is, but there does appear to be a small amount of irregularity there. An overhead router is what is used. Allow me to show you the tool. Well, the way I did it, in the old days before I had a fancy tool, was just my plunge router and then a sheet of 3/4 plywood that I cut a big rectangle into. And that would act as my straight edges, and that would act as my template. I would clamp that down to the door and I would have at it. So this company in Petaluma, California, Caval, this is what they make, and I've owned their equipment in the past. Let's look at architectural. My tool was many, many years ago, so I don't see Yeah, the Edge. We owned a late 90s version of the Edge. What a capable tool. So, products, entry door, maybe entry door. Yep, the DL2, the door light machine. This is literally it. Basically what happens is you roll the door in here. It will come up to stops that will stop the door and hold it in place. You then set the stops for your overhead machine. Your hands go here and here, and you can run that this way, run that this way, run that this way, and run that this way. You do those in minutes. It's done. Quick, one shot. So if they're using proper tools, they would never get that sort of work done. And I can't fathom that they wouldn't have a proper way of doing this. I can only guess that it was a mere one-off mistake that they were making when I believe they used a jigsaw. Anyway, Caval, I don't know how many decades they've been in business, but for sure several and many. Contact us. Petaluma, California is where they were. Are they still there? They sure are. Petaluma is famous for 3 things that I can think of. No, 4 things I can think of. Caval, Mesa Boogie, who manufactures amplification equipment for musicians. The scene in Back to the Future in front of the clock tower, that's downtown Petaluma. And I believe that scenes from George Lucas's American Graffiti were shot there as well. So there you go. I've been there. I've been to the plant. I've met the people. Great work. Anyway, there is more to come. The factory has agreed to remake the doors. They're going to ship them out in about 2 weeks, and we will certainly have more conversations with the client. Thank you very much. So this part of the video is the final chapter in this process. This client first called me on November 1st of 2021. Today is August 13th, 2022. And while I received this final email from the client a couple of 3 weeks ago, I did want to put a nice bow on the end of this entire package by sharing and showing the photographs that the client shared with me. An image of the door, but there are better ones here. And I am thinking this is a laundry room, very possibly, or something like that. You can see and if you go through all of the earlier audio, you will hear where we talk about these pairs of doors. Now, what's important about these, and actually I'll say that to you in a different image, or I will say what I'm about to say using a different image. Pairs of doors. So what's important there is that you are ordering them pair matched, and while the veneer is not exact on this, you can tell that these are meant to be together rather than 2 random doors pulled together. They're reasonably well pair matched, and if you were to think of these 2 doors and these 2 doors over here, if you were to think about a book being closed and you open up the book and the 2 pages are laying flat, these are pair matched like that. Possibly running matched in the sense that they're not book matched in that sense, but these veneers, rather than taking the veneers and I am struggling at describing it. You can take 2 pieces of paper and you can fold them together like a book, or when you lay it flat, you can take those 2 sheets of paper and rather than have them symmetrically opposite, you can have them slip matched. So let's go to Contact Us, and then I think under National Organizations, AWI, Section 1300. Yeah, this, if you wanted to know everything there was to know, the governing document within the industry, this is it. How logs are harvested and the way in which the knife is cut so as to achieve what needs to be achieved. Now, the plane slicing, if you recall, we had ribbon-striped Sapele urban early on, and that's going to give a different look than plane slicing. And a little bit of research into mid-20th century, it wasn't going to be ribbon-striped. It was going to be plane sliced. And it was agreed, as you may remember, that plane slicing would have been a better option to be period correct, and I believe that that was true. So plane slicing is defined here, cathedral pattern, which is evidenced by these doors. Also, slip matching. Now, this is a great page. If you have pairs of doors and you don't specify pair matched, you're going to get random matched. That would not be what the client would have liked to have seen here. That would have not have worked. When you pair match, you can slip match or book match. And book matching would be pretty typical, and I believe that that's indeed what we are seeing here, book matching. So I was using the term slip, but this really illustrates what slip matching looks like. Now, this terminology applies to not only door panels, but the individual flitches, and that's what they're called, the individual pieces of veneer that are put together on the face of the door. Now, when you're plane slicing, it's going to look like this. The way the knife is cutting the log to produce ultimately pieces of veneer. So how those pieces are put together is also very important, because the rotary method that is here is like peeling an apple with a knife against your thumb. You can probably yield very wide pieces of veneer when you're plane slicing. Rotary slicing, rotary cutting versus plane slicing, because let's say that these doors are 3 foot wide, and they're smaller than that, but they're, let's say, 2'8" or whatever. You would have to have a really large tree to harvest a log that diameter. So rotary cutting will give you a single piece, but it will also be a very broad pattern like it's showing here. Okay? So the individual flitches or pieces of veneer have to be assembled, and then those doors have to be put together in such a way that it is compatible as well, and that's what's been achieved here. There was lots of conversation about his front door. That is an image of what the front door ultimately turned out to look like. This is all factory stained. The manufacturer, Strecco up in Wisconsin, ultimately produced a really good caliber set of projects here. I dig that 1960s motif. It's groovy, one might say. Picture of a bathroom, just, we're focusing on the doors. Another instance of book matching, pair matching. Those closet doors, it's probably in a bedroom. Looks really great. Just looks great. I don't recall these two doors, but nonetheless, the Baldwin hardware that we supplied is shown as well. It's another good pattern as well. Mid-20th century lumber, wood would have been redwood, mahogany, walnut, if I hadn't said walnut. Mid-century door design. So walnut, mahogany, redwood in the sense of, it having that type of tone. I'm not picking up a mid-20th century vibe here necessarily. That might be more 1960s. I did find a article that listed the different veneers. Yeah, walnut, mahogany. So I'll have to leave the research to you to best find. This one is, well, zebra veneer. That's early 70s. That would make more sense. Yeah, that's not going to get us anything. History of veneering. That might be neat. To read through the history of veneering. Okay, so that wraps up everything about this project. The client was extremely patient, and yes, when you're doing construction, it's going to be fraught with issues. Obviously, the issue was the doors were... one was just simply made wrong because I can tell that when they did the preparation for the light, if I am not remembering, it was not only from the wrong end of the door, the bottom rather than top, but the wrong side of the door as well. And thankfully, looking back at my paperwork to the manufacturer, I was clear. I wasn't wrong at all, and I was clear. I couldn't have misinterpreted it, really. And then also the very unacceptable trimming that was done to the light kits on what I think was a sliding door and a fixed panel, if I recall correctly. And then, of course, the family cat. That's fun. This, I don't know how many minutes this entire video will be, but this is the type of project and this is the type of set of conversations that are going to be had. So when you're getting into construction, this is just the doors only. The doors, the sliding door hardware, and then the butts and trim, the passage sets, privacy sets. Now, what I would have done differently, and this is my opinion, and this is my preference, I would have used concealed hinges. I would not have put butt hinges on there at all. I think that they detract from the look, not on this client's job, but just in general. I don't want to see these hinges. I would have used sauce concealed hinges. I may have mentioned them to the client early on. I don't recall. It's 9 months ago. I would have done that, absolutely. I don't have any trouble with the trim design that they selected. That's great. I would not have used privacy sets anywhere. Let's assume this is a bedroom. I would not have used a privacy set. I would have put passage sets everywhere, and I would have used a mortise bolt above. That may or may not be period correct, but that's how I like to do it. I don't like privacy pins and latch bolts, and I find them points of failure. So that's what I would have done differently. I would have not have used these plastic guides. I would have routed the bottom of the doors, and I would have routed the floors and dropped in a aluminum U-channel and put a guide attached to the bottom of the door. I would have concealed all of that. These relatively small flush poles are nice. No problem there at all. The fascias up here are really nice. That was done. Yeah, I would have hidden those hinges. To me, they're unsightly. I may also have used a thinner casing, but now this client's project is spectacular. It just looks great, and I hope it was worth every hair-pulling moment that he may have gone through. Any questions on this project or any other project, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. Thank you. Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.